Hi there, this is Olivia, but sometimes prospective fashion students mistake me for Google for CSM applications. So they tell me their whole life story over very long emails or DMs, and I'm pretty sure I mentioned that already, that back when I started, I would write equally long replies and really try to help people. But you know what I learned recently? These are all signs of unhealthy boundaries, both on their side and on mine. Because they're telling me all about themselves on their very first interaction with me, believing that I can anticipate their needs because I'm supposed to have a very unique experience and insider secrets. And me replying at length shows that I also felt that I had to anticipate people's needs. But not only that, it showed a kind of a yucky or rather manipulative part of myself because it starts with good intentions and I have to do my marketing and serve my customers. But the thought and the background was also that if I could anticipate someone's needs well enough, I would have a new client that could become a case study. Then I could say that I do have a unique system that works. And I would also have this zero to hero kind of success story that I could milk the shit out of, and that could produce like a raving testimonial about how great I am. So yes, I've been through this pain of feeling really hopeless about my career prospects in my home country and feeling crazy desperate to get into Centre St. Martin's. And as a result, I had this very all or nothing mindset that made me, for example, very willing to spend whatever money was necessary. And yeah, this is the kind of mindset that can get you into a lot of trouble. But even if all this experience of mine is very relatable, for you to blurt it all out on our very first interaction is kind of cringe, a little bit weird, to put it lightly. So to illustrate that, this time I'm gonna share a cringy interaction from my past and break down why it was very naive. So this was May 2020 when everyone was stuck at home during the first lockdown, and I was also still a newbie at marketing and learning how to build an online presence for myself and my business. So when I saw this person who was really low profile before, suddenly doing lots of stories telling about their legendary experience as a fashion designer and saying something like, DM me with your question in your email, I excitedly assumed they were doing a Ask Me Anything, an AMA. So I wrote, God, hi person, how are you? I started to stan you after seeing you on at my friend's feed probably over a year ago. I love your visual work not related to fashion, and I'm also a paradoxical mix of Marie Kondo and hoarder of books, trimmings, and shiny fabric. So I'm struggling to tell a cohesive story with my new label. Do you have any recommendations for designers I should look into that manage to balance commercial pieces with a more exciting aesthetic? That is a really dumb question, y'all. That is any successful fashion brand. If you don't have like an exciting, even if it's not a runway show or a big campaign that's in magazine, if you don't have an exciting aesthetic, but then they don't sell like a commercial/wearable pieces in their stores, then yeah, their business is going bankrupt real soon. So yeah, dumb questions, and many thanks for any suggestions you may have. Best, Olivia, and my email. They reply, Hope you're well. I'm only offering paid private tutorial services. I asked, how does it work? Do you charge per hour or otherwise? Emailing. Okay, so my first message is cringe, and you can clearly see that I'm trying way too hard. I've seen this advice in like dating advice, or even like how to make friends or network, that like yeah, positive compliments, and it's like, it's really like, is anyone like that? Maybe I'm just a bitch, but is anyone actually like that? And the creepy parts is that I've seen, not creepy, but it worries me that I've also seen this advice for like when you're sending CVs to companies, that you need to write something personal to show how you connect with the brand to which you're sending your CV. And frankly, it's not necessary. Headhunters are looking for strategic keywords, and they're usually doing this on LinkedIn, or like company recruiters are in touch with the major fashion schools, and then each course leader will select which students are going to each company to have not an interview, but a so-called like portfolio review. And that's actually more of a chat, because just because the company recruiters are going to have a chat with new graduates doesn't mean that they have open positions to offer. And in terms of how your aesthetic connects with the brands, that's where your portfolio comes in. So going back, my message could have been just like this: hey person, how are you? I started following your such and such work after seeing you on my friend so and so feeds. I think that's normal. It's easier to connect with someone via a mutual friend. And I didn't know you're also a fashion designer, and I found it so relatable when you described yourself as, I think they said, organized chaos, something like that. So I'm interested to learn what sort of brands / designers you follow. Many thanks, Olivia, and my email. And here I don't even need to be like super specific about like, oh, what sort of obscure brands or up and coming designers you follow, because if the person gets back to me and says something like, just replies like, oh, I like Prada, Comme des Garçons, and Rick Owens, it's like, well, so does everyone, and maybe this person is not the best one for me to work with. And once they replied, I could have just admitted like, oh no, I thought you were doing a ask me anything monkey emoji. That was so cheeky of me. I'm so sorry. But can you tell me more about your private tutoring? You seem to have a wealth of experience. And since you're taking new clients, I'd like to learn more and see if it's a good fit. Normal human interaction. I made a mistake. I can say I'm sorry. It's no big deal. Or at least I'm training myself to think that way, because that removes a lot of the anxiety surrounding any type of professional communication. But no, of course, I was still, and I'm still embarrassed. I still find this message really cringe. I'm not antisocial. I know that, that wasn't very adequate. But my brain's reaction is always to go like overdrive and panic, thinking like, I'm so unprofessional. I already burned all my bridges on my first impression. But is that really necessary? Because I got their email and it was equally cringe. It goes, hello. Thank you for entrusting me to perhaps privately tutor you. I do hope you're very well and still using all your creative skills. I am doing a series of lockdown online rates. Usually my intense private 1-hour tutorials with aftercare, whatever that means, are £300 and business consultations £400. The quality of what you're able to learn with the way I tutor will aid you forward. Please proofread your shits. for the rest of your life, it's not the time the lesson takes, it's how and what I tutor, even within 1 hour. This I know from my long working experience and having a large history of student success stories. I'm already assisting students, la la la. So it's first come, first served. Breaking this down, to be honest, most people are terrible at business and marketing, just like business and marketing people are terrible designers. Different jobs, different skills. But when you have someone charging £300 per hour right off the gates, and probably to beginners, you need to ask questions. It's normal for someone with a lot of really high profile experience to charge a lot for their consulting services, even if they just started out working as a consultant. But why would they not be working with an agency? Why don't they have at least an assistant that can come up with a better presentation? Because they could very well be old school designers that can barely use a computer, or at least the assistant would be proofreading this. Then there's this claim that what you're able to learn with the way I tutor will aid you for the rest of your life. It's not the time the lesson takes, it's how and what I tutor, even within 1 hour. This I know from my long experience and having a large history of student success. This is a classic false/misleading advertising technique, because how can you even test that? How do you even prove that? For example, my mom taught me to use the toilet. I can honestly say that's one of the most transformational skills that I've learned in my life. But am I gonna pay my mom or thank my mom every time I go to the toilet instead of shitting my pants? This is a business thing. What are the actual tangible results that you can expect? And if the client knows very little about fashion, is 1 hour going to be that transformational? And what if this expert doesn't deliver? How do you even negotiate? Can you even negotiate? Can you actually have a two-way conversation with them? Or they're always going to speak to you from high up their pedestal because they are the expert and they know what they're doing and you're just stupid? Because remember, this is private tutoring. You're probably not going to get any certificate from this person, so you have to approach this as a savvy consumer. Then they go, I'm already assisting students, blah blah blah, so it's first come, first served. Another classic misleading advertising technique that is used to instill psychological urgency. It's very common in the world of online products and services. And when in doubt, just assume that it's not true, call BS and move on. Then here comes the new rates. They're still quite high. If you make the math, 3 times 40 minutes for 375 is almost £200 per hour. And a few minutes chat before and after class. Come on, that is basic schmoozing that you need to do when a client is paying you for a premium service. Then tutorials for your own brand or business at £100, probably because they'll have to make a proper invoice and charge VAT. And now the fine print. These tutorials are nothing in connection with CSM. Don't ask me for a reference. CSM do not allow me to give references for short course students. Oh, so you're short course tutor. How do you go from experienced designer working closely to one of fashion's most iconic designer in a large corporation, probably, that I'm gonna say they probably offered a competitive salary with fringe benefits, and you go from that to someone who can't even write a recommendation letter to your students, and that has to resort to this kind of online petition when UAL doesn't offer any sort of financial aid after canceling your course due to COVID. I mean, I don't mean to cancel nobody, but short courses are different markets. And short courses doesn't seem to have a lot of regulation because they don't issue like a diploma, so they probably don't need to go through the Ministry of Education. And like it's just a fun holiday, and this person is probably not a regular employee. So are they even legally entitled? Should they be expecting any sort of financial aid from UAL or CSM? And how much money do they get from their short course that it makes such a difference in their budgets? I mean, remember, everyone was in the shit when the pandemic hit, but it is reasonable to expect that a seasoned pro would have a really good professional network that they can fall back on when things go wrong. So yeah, again, I don't mean to cancel nobody. My point is, this is a lot of money for really exaggerated claims that are just too good to be true. So, in conclusion, hope you liked this video. I thought it was important to make this one because if this time I didn't spend too much money on someone that I was too quick to look up to, there was another incident where I lost a good chunk of money to an industry expert that turned out to be a really lousy business coach that is trying to create a community of industry changers. You know, whatever that means. Be aware of this kind of language that on the surface it looks like, wow, community changing the world, but it's like in the end it doesn't mean jack shit. So yeah, even if the person seems to have good intentions and has legit experience, when it's your money, your time, your hopes and dreams on the line, you should be asking a lot of questions, and that includes even me. That's why I cannot get myself to make an online course that I'll have to use like this sort of advertising using this kind of loaded language. So, you know, if it's cringe, listen to your guts. So, yeah, keep cringing. Ew. Olivia, stop talking, and I will see you on the next video. Bye.